to the Thought Snob Podcast. I'm Paula Swope. Let's get snobby. Did you know that a cluttered space could be blocking your manifestations? It's true. Your environment influences your ability to create the life you desire. I invited Pinky Jackson to the Thought Snob Podcast studio to explore the connection between physical clutter, manifestation, and mental well-being. You might be surprised by what is revealed about how clutter negatively affects our brains. Pinky is the founder and CEO of Expert Home Organizing. Listen to our conversation and find out why manifestation starts at home. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the Thought Snob Podcast so you will always be alerted when new episodes air. I would like to just kick off our conversation here with you telling us about how you got into the line of work that you do. And the name of your business is Pinky Jackson, Expert Home Organizing. Is that right?
Well, it's Pinky Jackson Organizing.
Okay.
The tagline is Expert Home Organizing because I am an expert. I've been doing this for 42 years.
Right.
Yeah, for 42 years. For the first 20 years, I didn't even know that's what I was doing. The industry was brand new. I was a teenager, and it was just my passion. So I got into it because it is definitely my nature, and I was definitely nurtured. My mother had 10 children.
Oh my
raised
God.
10 children.
How many girls, how many boys?
9 girls.
Oh my God.
1 boy. So a home of 12, so a household of 12. So I grew up not only being nurtured into being organized because my mother had to be really organized with charts and lists and rotating life skills. So she not only taught us that, but it was because it was my nature, but it wasn't all of my siblings' nature. I would clean their rooms. I would organize their closets. I would organize their paperwork. And then they would do something for me, or I would just do it because it was fun, right? And so I grew up doing it not knowing that it was a business opportunity.
It just came natural.
It came naturally, and also I was nurtured, and part of that nurturing as an adult is continuous personal and professional development. So that's how I landed in when I was able to do it full time. It's in my nature. I'd been nurtured. I'd done all sorts of readings and trainings and personal development, which is huge because in home organizing, you are in people's homes and you're seeing all their stuff. You are seeing what they're embarrassed about. You're seeing what they're unable to manage with their own neurodiversity. You're seeing what's making them crazy that their spouse is doing and that their kids are doing and what developmentally their kids are. You're seeing a lot. So you have got to be a kind, compassionate person who knows that you can make a difference in their life if you meet them where they are and get obstacles out of their way to get them to their goals. Not your goals, their goals. So I'm just really, really blessed. And that's kind of how I got into this business in Louisville, Kentucky, was when I moved here and I had been organizing in Texas, not even knowing it was a career yet, but doing it for sorority sisters and my family and friends, and then moved here and started, doing it with every job I ever had. That was the extra time I put in. Let's organize the stockroom. Let's organize the files. Let's organize the events. Let's organize the teams. Let's organize the archives. Let's build legacy boxes so that when this needs to happen again, you're not spending so much more time and money creating something that you already created. Organize it first and maintain the organization. So and then when my kids got a little bit older and I didn't have to just wait till my husband got home to take the kids and I could go and do it, I, built a team. And
it usually takes a person about 42 years to even figure out what their life purpose is.
Yeah.
And you did as a kid. That is so wild. And you stuck with it. Did you ever work in any other field?
I did not know organizing. Well, first when
you didn't think you could make money
in the 60s,
organizing.
It wasn't a career. There were no national organizations. I didn't know that was, a term. The closest I came to was in college. I had an internship at the Dallas Apparel Mart. They wanted me to organize their stock rooms. I had sorority sisters that were models, and I got in, my sister had connections there, and they saw my organization skills. And my boss said, okay, you're my personal assistant. So that's what I thought it was. I was personal assistance. It was great. And I got to organize things. So I did not know that's what I was doing. And every job, I've done all sorts of different jobs, all of which have prepared me. I waited tables to help pay through college. I was an RA in college. I've worked for a couple of nonprofits. I did chaplaincy through my church. All of those things I bring to the table. I mean, goodness, your spiritual development, you have to be there and connect on a kind, compassionate, intuitive level with your clients. You have to be really fast and strong and physically fit and all of those things. So yeah, it was something that I did as part of all of my jobs that I've ever done, as far back as I can remember. When I go back and look at everything I've done, either for pay, for salary, for free, as a gift, that's what I've always brought to the table.
So many people think that they can't make money doing what they really love to do. And that is a big statement that has already come out of this conversation, because a lot of people have this, burning desire, this inner calling to do something, and they won't do it. They stay behind the freaking cash register at the Piggly Wiggly and don't go do what they really want to do because they think they can't make money at it. And what you're doing here is living proof of what I talk about all the time. And it just happened with you organically. And you discovered your life purpose a lot earlier than most. And for the people that are listening, when you know that something is your life purpose, it doesn't feel like work,
That's true.
right?
It doesn't feel like work at all. And you have to add to it the professional development. You've got to get mentors and coaches. And, I bought a business development program that is specifically targeted to home organizers that helped me do that back end administrative ops stuff and really taught me, make your prices parallel with your skills and abilities, and that's where the value lies. So I think it's knowing what your passion is and then getting the support you need to make it a really strong operation.
So I want to talk for a minute. I want you to tell me about the work that you do, just as an entrepreneur, and the advice and the mentoring that you provide for women, because you serve on what's the name of the board?
Oh, one of the boards, the Network of Entrepreneurial Women, is a wonderful board here in Louisville. It's very informal, it's very grassroots, it's very inclusive, and so many young women come into that group, as well as in online groups that I'm in. So many young entrepreneurs come in and just need a little bit of support. They need some mentoring, they need advocacy. They just need to tell someone, to hear someone tell them, you are enough. You are enough. And yes, let's just kick that imposter syndrome to the curb, and live your passion.
Yeah, because so many women have just this innate ability to start a business. They just they know what to do. But it's those subconscious beliefs that are like, you can't do that.
That's right.
And society says, no, you really do need to work in a W-2 position to make the money. And so it just goes back to, that's my metaphor, the Piggly Wiggly. And not doing what you really want to do. But I love the fact that you have even extended this and your, entrepreneurship skills to help other women.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that is fantastic.
Absolutely. With 9 sisters and 100 sorority sisters in college, you learn that is what we do. We have our village, we have our squads, and that's what women do. We should help, men too. I love my husband. I love my sons. We should help men and women. But my focus and what I have the most experience with is women. And it's so important that we not only reach back, reach up, support, get supported by, but also that we kind of raise some awareness, because women who want to go in business often think, okay, I have to be the bookkeeper, I have to be the janitor, I have to be the digital marketer, I have to do I have to work on the business, but I also have to work in the business. And they think they have to do all of it. Just
Play every role.
Every role, right? But the guys I know don't think that way.
No, because women are used to handling
it all, right? So that's one of the biggest shifts that I think a woman who wants to go in business can really look at is, what are the things that only I can do, and delegate everything else. I have an amazing administrative coordinator. We have a bookkeeper. We have a CPA. I have someone who posts on my social media. Like anything that doesn't require me to be there, nurturing that client or leading my team, let's delegate that and do your passion. And that's when you can be successful,
Right.
is when you don't think you have to do all of it
Mm-hmm.
and work 60 hours a week.
Right. Right. Because you've positioned yourself to do what you love to do.
Yeah.
And if you were handling all the stuff on the backside,
Right.
then you would be burnt out and it would no longer, be joyful for you to do
That's
what
right.
you love to do.
Right.
And that's a really, really, really good point
Yeah.
to make. And I have to say too, the Thoughts Not podcast, my book, and my work as a Chopra certified life coach, everything I do, it's all different. Like there's all different pieces of it, but it all circles back to one thing, and it's about helping people feel good so they can consciously create what they want.
Yes.
Because right, because we're always manifesting.
That's right.
Manifesting what we want and what we don't want.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to manifest what we want. We want to make that work for us and use our God-given free will to our advantage versus our disadvantage, because you're sitting here looking at somebody who used it to her disadvantage about the first 3 decades of her life. And so I'm credentialed out the wazoo, but it's through trial and error that I got this wisdom, and that's what benefits the people that I help the most, really. So it might seem like you are an out of the box guest for this podcast, but you're not at all. You're an absolute perfect fit.
Oh, absolutely, because it is the thoughts of our clients who feel overwhelmed and who feel like they have to work a full-time job or raise the kids or manage the house and manage all of the inventory, keep everything, organized and keep it going in and going out. It is that thinking that we have to shift.
Yeah.
And it is that thinking of, tell me your vision, tell me what you love, tell me what you want this space to look like, to feel like, to function like, and let's create that. That it is very much about their thinking, and it's also about helping them shift their thinking that they deserve to be happy.
Yeah. And the space that you're in, the environment that you're in, can absolutely make you feel good or bad.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially
all day long.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're a person who's fighting mental health issues, depression,
Sure.
or if you're somebody who doesn't have good control of your emotions, the space that you're in can really, really impact everything and your ability to manifest what you want. And I pulled a bunch of research, and I just want to hit some highlights here so people can understand how important this is, because space has been really significant to my manifestation journey. And I will give a perfect example, okay? So I was stuck in a living situation with my mother when I was in my 20s. And it was a miserable, it was a miserable household. It's like I dreaded to go home. I hated the space that I lived in. And at that time, I was educating myself about how manifestation worked, and I was making some changes, and I was trying to, do a mindset shift. Nothing was really working because I didn't believe it, but I'm going to tell you what worked. I started packing my stuff, and I started throwing away things that resembled like an old version of me.
There you go.
Out with
There
the
you
old,
go.
in with the new.
There you go.
Yeah,
That's exactly right.
that freaking worked.
Yes, it does.
It worked. I was out of that house within a few months.
Nice.
And when I had been struggling for years,
Yes.
trying to get the money to get out of there, and the money
Right.
never would come. So I started packing my stuff, and I started throwing away clothes that I didn't wear anymore because they didn't resemble who I was. I started throwing away makeup, products, shoes, anything you can think of. I just started ditching it. And I'm like, okay, this isn't me anymore. I'm getting rid of it. And I would say it out loud as I was like throwing stuff away. And then I would start packing my stuff, the stuff that I was going to take to this new space. I had no money for a new house. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. But this is one of the first things that I did.
Yep.
And in that house was a lot of old stuff. It was a lot of just clutter in closets. And it was stuff that from the past.
Yes.
There's power in that.
Yes, there is.
There is power
Yes, there
in
is. You made room for your new life.
Yeah,
That's what you did.
that's what I did. And then when I got out of that house, oh my God. It was like this just started rolling in. Like I left, took a leap of faith, didn't really have the money in the bank to do what I did, but I did it and got a job promotion a month later.
Yeah, of course you did.
Mm-hmm. And
Yep.
then my mother got a promotion that made up for the income that she was going to lose that I was paying.
There you go.
That was not a coincidence.
No, nope.
So what you do serves a huge purpose that might not be totally transparent on the surface.
Yeah.
It's deeper, right?
Amen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's not about the stuff. It's not about the stuff. It's about how the stuff makes you feel, how it blocks you, how it opens up your greater good. That's what it's about.
Yeah. Do you ever have clients come to you with stories like that?
Oh,
They're like,
yeah.
Pinky, I feel stagnant. My energy's blocked.
Yeah.
I'm in a funk.
Yeah.
I got to get rid of
absolutely.
this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And their language is different depending upon how they communicate and what path they've been on. Sometimes it's I'm overwhelmed. Sometimes it's really making me angry. Sometimes it's I'm in a deep depression. Sometimes it's I'm really mad at the other people in my house because the house is messy and it's easier to see other people's stuff than our own stuff, internally and externally.
That's true.
So it depends on how they communicate. So my job, one of the reasons I love the fact that I've been doing this for decades is that I can usually meet them where they are with their communication style and see what they're ready for. But yes, overwhelmed is the number one word I hear when people reach out, is they're just overwhelmed trying to manage it or trying to figure out what system works for them because they've looked online and they see these things and they buy all these things and it still doesn't work.
Right.
And it's because that wasn't the right one for them at this time in their life. So we have to get really custom to meet them where they are and make it work not just for them, but anybody else who lives in the house.
Right.
And those are not usually the same type of organizing needs.
Right, right. And
Yeah.
it's all attached to emotions. And those challenging emotions are always attached to some type of an unmet need.
Exactly.
And I made a note here, and this is I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I had a friend who is she's no longer with us. She passed away. But as her issues became worse and worse and worse, she struggled with addiction and a lot of mental health issues. She started hoarding. And when she started hoarding, that's when she was approaching her demise at that point. And I remember how disturbing it was to walk into her house and see all of that, and it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And the minute that I walked in, it's like there was just a dip in my energy. I couldn't focus. My energy felt chaotic, and it was just really, really disturbing. And that was one of the life experiences that really started me thinking about space and clutter because of the way it made me feel seeing her. And there are so many studies. I just want to hit some highlights here. Clutter is linked to increased cortisol levels, like what you just said. I mean, people are overwhelmed, irritated, and for people that are listening, cortisol is our stress hormone. And that interferes with our positive emotional states, period. And the danger of that is if you go day to day, everybody has a bad day every once in a while. But if you're having 5 bad days out of 7 or 7 bad days out of 7, and you're feeling irritated and overwhelmed and angry and frustrated and resentful and guilty, people get very embarrassed of a cluttered house, then that is going to eventually manifest into something physical. And it's people, places, things, and experiences that you just don't want. And so this is like a huge picture here. And then in the way that I felt walking into her house, chaotic, clutter competes for attention in the brain, leading to mental fatigue and reducing the ability to visualize and manifest goals effectively. Decluttering removes energetic blockages. That is so true.
Yes, ma'am.
Is so
Yes, ma'am.
true. And then, out with the old and in with the new principle suggests that removing clutter symbolically creates room for new manifestations.
That's right.
It's also true.
Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yes.
Absolutely.
It absolutely is. So when so how long ago did you start this business?
Well, about 20 years ago
Mm-hmm.
is when I started charging.
Okay, yeah, I want to get to the
charging.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's about 20 years ago. And then I added, I guess it's been about 15, 16 years when I started adding teammates and charging a more reasonable market rate. And yeah, so it's been a minute.
Mm-hmm.
It's been fantastic. Yeah.
I think too, as entrepreneurs, and Snoop Dogg is pretty smart. And I heard him say, because and this is totally relevant, highly relevant to what we're talking about here. But in May 2021, I take risk a lot, and it's usually career wise. And in May 2021, I left my long career in fundraising. I've been in fundraising and grant writing forever to do what I'm doing now. And I really didn't know what to do. I was just like, okay, I've got to pivot. I got to do this. This calling won't go away. I got to do it. And everything was aligned. And so I just jumped right in.
Good for you.
And I remember I heard Snoop Dogg say, any successful person, like extremely successful person, and everybody defines success differently,
Sure.
but he defines it very similar to the way that I define it. Money is definitely part of it, but freedom is huge because you own your time,
There you go.
and there are other things that go along with
Mhm.
that definition of success. But he said any highly successful person works without thinking about the paycheck.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I have certainly done that.
Yeah.
And paid my dues, and it sounds like you have too.
Oh, all day long.
Give it away.
Still do it.
Yeah.
Still do it as part of our nonprofit. Still do
Right,
it as part
right.
of our nonprofit. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize, is your business is it a nonprofit?
No, my business is for profit.
Okay.
And it partially funds our nonprofit. We have Gratefully Giving is our 501c3 that we use to be able to increase our impact, because a big part of our mission, Pinky Jackson Organizing, a big part of that mission is that we help clients let go of more things, because we do everything possible to make sure those things don't end up in a landfill.
Oh,
Right? So
okay.
we go the extra mile, make extra contacts, make extra trips, do extra storage, whatever needs to happen to get our clients surplus, things they have to let go of, they want to let go of, to someone who needs it. And we are grateful for those people for finding a new home for the surplus, because our job is to advocate for our clients, and they're overwhelmed when we're in the decluttering phase. We also do the organizing and the styling, and that's amazing, and we love it, and we're great at it. But when we're in the decluttering phase, like what we've been talking about, they really need a new home for things. And when they've invested time and energy and money into those things, the idea of it all just be shoved somewhere where it may end up at a landfill is very, very hard. And I've got such compassionate, loving, caring clients. They love the idea that it can go to someone in need. So
I could donate stuff?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we take a carload of donations every 3 hours when we're working with clients. We take a carload of things away. 90% of that is donations. Some of it's recycling. Some of it's old batteries and old light bulbs that we don't want in the waterways, and then we have to drive them all the way over to the outer loop to make sure they're disposed of properly. Old medicines, things like that the client's overwhelmed. It's in their house, but they can't just throw it in the trash.
Sure.
So every 3 hours, as part of our business model, is we take a carload of things they don't want, and we get them wherever we can get them that needs them the most, if that place has the capacity to receive them. And sometimes a lot of things have to end at big box donation centers, but that's okay too. But we avoid the landfill.
That's fantastic. I didn't even realize you had the nonprofit side. I missed that somewhere.
Well, my mama raised us that our good works are between us and God, so I
Mhm.
don't really advertise that. I'm not
Mhm.
really, but we needed a way for
That's
our
fantastic. It's
yeah,
brilliant.
we needed a way for our clients to do that, and sometimes if we're giving things away on a street corner or we're giving things just to a family who's had a burnout, they're not a nonprofit, so they can't give a 501c3 tax receipt to
Mhm.
our client who gave them an entire bedroom set or whatever it is, but we can.
Right.
So we needed that, and we also needed for our clients some of our clients who have 3, 4, 5, 6,000 square feet, and they're going down to like 2,000. They sometimes it costs them a lot of money to move furniture somewhere or to get rid of it if they can't do an estate sale in the time they need based on what their realtor's telling them or the retirement village is telling them. They've got to get stuff out of there. And so sometimes they want to pay movers to take things to a family in need, a new refugee family, a family who lost everything to natural disaster, a young mom, whatever it may be. It saves our clients money to pay that move, the fee for that moving, than it does for them to have to move it to store it, move it to get rid of it, that type of thing. So it's a win-win situation,
Mm.
and they needed a way to donate that mover fee and get their tax deduction receipt, which is what we can do.
Yeah, that's absolutely
So
brilliant.
yeah,
I mean, we've paid pretty big, chunks of change here and there just to haul,
to get
have
things
stuff
right,
hauled
right. But
off.
if you can haul it off through a nonprofit, then you have a tax receipt.
Right.
You
Gosh,
know,
that's brilliant.
and it gets it directly to someone who needs it right
Right.
now.
Right.
It isn't then sold again for profit. It's someone who really needs to be lifted up. And we call it gratefully gifting because we really want our clients to kind of change the paradigm a little bit and just kind of think about, I'm grateful for that art therapist who receives our arts and crafts supplies, right? Or the animal care society who receives, all of those dog things because we didn't stop the subscription in time and there's way too much.
Right.
Or the little free libraries that take all the books, because clients have a lot of things. And if we can get them to someone who needs them or can use them right away, we help the economy. We help
Mhm.
our local economy.
Oh,
And that's
definitely.
important.
So I got to know what happened. So what was going on 20 years ago when you started this business? Like, what were you doing and how did you make the shift?
I just kept the people that I was helping on the side as a friend, as a neighbor, wanted me to be there more. Like they would say things like, will you move in with me?
Mhm.
And one of them said, you are my decluttered doula. Like I need you here. And I thought, well, okay, if you want to pay me to keep doing this,
Mhm.
I love doing it. And
Mhm.
so I did about 3 things at the same time. I have a very well-trained ADD brain, so I'm like, we can do all of this. So I did business development training, and I also immersed myself in all the different credentialing that was available at the time that had aspects of it that I didn't know very well yet,
Mhm.
because there are a lot of them that I would look at and I'm like, I can teach this. I know this. I know this. I know
Right.
this. But finding the one that I knew was a growth area for me. Um, and I just realized, okay, my kids are of an age where I can kind of, they're driving, or the older one is driving, or, where I knew that I would have the freedom to really immerse myself in it. So I think it was probably that, is that the
Mhm.
kids were old enough, the nonprofit that I was working for was kind of, fine.
Mhm. Right.
I didn't have to keep like, working basically for free.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
yeah, so I think it was that the stars really aligned. Um, yeah, it just was all sorts of good things were happening and it was time. And, listening to my intuition and just following your heart. I believe very, very strongly in following your joy.
Mhm.
And, I love it and I loved it. So just
Yeah.
jumped in.
Now that's how God speaks to us. I mean, if
Amen.
something brings you joy, then go for that. 'Cause that's
Absolutely.
that's where it's at.
Right.
And so, like I was telling you earlier, what you do, unless I'm just totally uninformed about something, is not. It's rare for the state of Kentucky. Like Kim Kardashian, that's how she got her start.
Mm-hmm.
She was, I think, maybe a teenager, and she started organizing like Paris Hilton's closet, right?
Uh, Possibly. I don't follow the Kardashians, so I don't know. But yeah,
I don't really follow them too much
I don't
either.
know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
But
there is a lot in that. Yeah, in that realm, it is very, very much an East Coast, West Coast thing.
Mhm.
There are some really great organizers in this area.
Mhm.
It is very unique. A lot of people do not know that you can hire someone to do this for you.
I did not know.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
That
I
you can,
saw you, I was like, you've got to be kidding.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
come into your home and, we start with coming in and just show me your home, show me what's stressing you out, show me what's working, what's not working. We have this very, very specific assessment that we go through, and then we can do it all. We can get you decluttered, organized, labeled, coach you, your family members on how to keep it that way, or come back and maintain it for you if you don't want to do it.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's
So,
pretty fun.
so what does the process look like? I'd like to spend our last few minutes just kind of, what does like a typical contract look like for you from like start to finish? I mean, I know it varies.
You mean
like
the contract as far as what it looks like within the
process.
session, the process?
Yeah, yeah.
Contract is
Just for
pages and
people
pages
who
of information.
want to hire you.
Yeah. So, the process is really safe and it's really fun or methodical depending upon what the client needs, right? So if you are a client who came to me, and our clients are everywhere from they've got some clutter to they're trying to get their home perfect and look like Pinterest. So depending upon where they are, that's where they're going to meet them. And so either me or one of my lead organizers, whomever's the lead on the job, is going to start the day, because we work in 3-hour sessions and each client can do 1 or 2 3-hour sessions a day. And not every single day. We usually recommend they take a break between one and the other, because if they're working beside us, and they don't always, some clients are never ever there, and that's fine. We don't need them there unless there's something that we have a question about whether or not to keep it and where it needs to be the right spot, and then we connect with them first. But we find out where they are that day. So the process looks like, I've done a very thorough assessment. I've created an action plan with my team, but then it may be days, weeks. If you contact us towards the end of the year when it's super duper busy, it may be a couple months before you can get on my calendar. But depending upon, how soon you can get on my calendar, we show up and we say, hey, based on your action plan, we think these are the priorities. Is that true for you today? What is stressing you out today? What area would feel the best to you with 3 hours of transformation or 6 hours of transformation? And we start there.
Okay.
And we do we go through all of the phases of organizing within what they need, because everybody needs it to look and feel differently.
Right.
Our brains are all different, and what one person needs as far as how it's organized, if it's labeled, if it has a lid on the box, is very different than what another person needs with maybe no label but no lid, and so many layers of getting to know whose inventory is this and who's responsible for maintaining it and keeping it organized, and what feels right and easy for you. We need it to be easy, we need it to be efficient, and we need it to feel really good. And those are going to, for some people, it being efficient is how it feels good. And for some people, it being beautiful is how it feels.
Right.
That's what makes them feel good. So that's what we have to do, is we have to find out what are their goals, and then we modify our processes and our approach to get to their goals. And it usually looks like that works. At first, it takes a minute for them to know us and us to know them, and us to have that learning curve of knowing the footprint, because houses are anywhere from 1,000 to 13,000 square feet. There's just a huge variety of types of houses. And so once we get acquainted with this house, with the routes for getting things to where they need to go, with what the client wants, then we're going to keep going through their towards their goal and working. We work really, really quickly, but the client is being faced with someone who stays calm or stays really energetic. Some clients need us to be bouncing off the walls because they're bouncing off the walls, and that makes them feel great.
Yeah.
And some clients want to sit down and tell the story of this item and know exactly what we're going to do with them. And that feels great to them. So that's what we do, because we need this to feel right to them so that it sticks.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And then we modify and overcome obstacles as they come up. I have to coach them a lot through things when their programming comes up. Oh, but my grandmother left that for me. Or, oh, my daughter made that in kindergarten. And so we have to ask some questions and say, that's great. I love that you have this attachment to this. I want to ask you, based on the space that you allocated for memorabilia or furniture or paperwork, if we keep this, you're not going to meet your goal. Do you want to change your decision or change your goal? Which one feels right? Do you want to, and so there's a lot of coaching. There's a lot of, nurturing to help get them where they are, because most people, if they're in an overwhelmed state, the biggest thing they need is advocacy and expertise.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we bring to the table.
So I'm going to use myself as an example. All right, my closet. Well, closets.
Of course. Yay.
And I know that a lot of people have said, okay, if you haven't worn something in a year, you need to get rid of it. But I have not worn clothes for 2 or 3 or 4 years and then see it on a day and put it on and love it and think, God, I'm glad I didn't get rid of that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you guys were to come in and help somebody like me with my closet, and because I just want to make sure that I understand and the people listening understand. So if the client doesn't necessarily have to be involved, but then somebody like me who can't make a decision about what to get rid of in their closet. I only do this with clothes. I don't really do it with anything else. Just clothes. And I will hang on to those clothes for dear life. So what do you do with somebody like me who can't decide what to get rid of?
Sure. Well, that's such a good question. And it is a pretty common situation. So the first thing we go back to is, what was your goal and what resources do you want to put towards that goal? If you have all of the space, if you have enough linear, space to enjoy your closet the way that it is, your closets, the way that they are, then maybe you don't have to get rid of things. But if you're having to fight to see your favorite clothes, and those clothes...
It's frustrating.
Yeah, it's frustrating. And textiles actually need air.
Right.
Right?
I know.
Textiles actually do, in order to last really well. So if you actually have a higher volume than what you need to get you to your goal, then we talk about that goal and we measure and we say, okay, based on what you're saying, we need to see a 30% reduction, of this volume to get you to your goal. And so then we get really intimate with the kinds of clothing. We talk about the fabric, the designer, the fit, the fastener, do all of these. Will you wear this because it's easy to put on, it's easy to move your body, and it's clattering with the last time you had your colors done, So that's one of the things that we're looking at. The other thing we do is we can divide the categories up, and we can say, okay, here are the things here's the 80% of our wardrobe that we're not wearing, because most of us wear 20% of our wardrobe 80% of the time. So here's what we're wearing all the time. These are easy yeses. Right? Your easy yeses.
Yeah.
I wear it. It justifies. I wear it. And we look at that. And then we say, okay, everything else. Then the other end of the spectrum are the aspirational clothes. Right? So I personally keep 3 sizes. And I keep the size I'm currently wearing is on hangers. Everything else is other sizes. So because I'm a woman.
Oh my God, right?
Because we need a couple different sizes.
Right. One day a 6, one day a 12. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But how much of that I keep is based on the fact that I want everything in one closet. I don't want to have to switch to a cedar closet anymore. I want it all right here, right? So we have what I wear, what I know, what I love, easy, that is not going out of my house. And then we have this is kind of aspirational. I can't wear it right now, or I'm not wearing it right now. Need to think about how much space. And then we have those things in the middle that are usually where we're going to start making those decisions, right? The easy decisions, the hard decisions. Okay, let's look at this and let's see, do we have 7 long sleeve black t-shirts? Do we have multiples? Do we have colors that, oh, you know what? I did used to really love that and I want to hold on to it because I wore it. But now that I've had my colors done, I see that, no, that really drains my color. Or, this is a fabric that I don't want to use. I don't want to wear polyester anymore, that type of thing. So then we dig deeper and help you develop criteria that help you get out of emotion and into your will, right? Because that's how we're releasing our emotions and clarifying our thinking, is with our will force, right? By doing it. So pulling them out and looking at that and really exploring, why are we holding on to these things? And what kind of questions do we need to ask about our youth, about when we started investing in clothes? What lack? What are we afraid of? If we're not wearing these and we think I might wear it someday, well, if someday is in 2 or 3 years and styles change, you deserve a new outfit.
Yeah.
right?
Out with the old, in with the new.
Same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. And so sometimes people have to look at that one remaining, and oftentimes for most of my clients have beautiful homes that are pretty darn well organized, and they just have one or two areas that they're not maintaining. And it's either because they shouldn't be the one maintaining it, and there's other people that should be participating, or it's that they're just busy, and I would rather them go practice law or go, operate or go, advocate, whatever. You go do you. Have more time to do that and let me support your home life so you can work your magic,
Right.
And then there's I haven't let go of this. I'm working towards being a more organized person, but I have some reasons I'm keeping more than this. And we want to look at those. We want to ask those questions. And because we start with the easier categories and the easier rooms in the home, we get really acquainted and we can say things like, I've got a client that said, "Oh, I see that you're keeping these sizes. They're reminding me of that story you told me about blank."
Mm.
And they go, "Oh, yeah. No, I can get rid of that," when I kind of draw parallels between some baggage
Hmm.
and then their baggage.
God, you are good at this.
Yes,
Jeez. See, I would have never even looked
Yes,
at my
I am.
closet like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives me a lot of insight into the process because I wondered about that. I'm like, so what if I, hire her to do this, but I don't have time to sit there and say that can be thrown away, that can't be thrown away. And I know this is going to go through people's minds when
Sure.
they hear this episode, and that's why I wanted to touch on that.
Sure.
So the client can be as hands off or hands on
That's right.
because you go through that onboarding.
Yeah, we find out the
Genius.
criteria, and then we never take anything out of the house until they've said, "Yes, that can go."
Mm-hmm.
Except for the few clients who say, "I don't care. Just get it down to whatever. I don't care what you get rid of." That's rare. Most people, of course, and they do have to approve when things go.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we get to know you.
All right. So what's the best way for people to get in touch with you? And I'm going to include all of your information with the podcast episode. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, best ways is to go to my website. It's Pinky Jackson, so Pinky with a Y, pinkyjackson.com. Everything's there about me, the social media links. If you really want to get connected with my thinking, and I post something at least 2 or 3 times a week so you can get acquainted with my style and what we do. My services and pricing are on the website, and there's a link to schedule a free assessment. If you're within 30 minutes, our office is in Linden, Louisville, Kentucky, in the neighborhood called Linden. If you're within 30 minutes of there, we do those on site. And if you're out of that, we do those virtually. But just go to pinkyjackson.com. Everything is there. You can email me, you can text me. It's all there.
So do you go outside of Jefferson County?
All the time. Yeah,
Okay.
all the time. So there are a lot of parts of Oldham County, Clark County, Floyd County, Shelby County that are within 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a 30-minute drive. So and then we still go. I'm in Greenville, Kentucky, which is 2.5 hours. We're doing that once a week this year. We go, Lexington. We have a travel fee when it goes after
Sure.
30 minutes. But yeah, we'll go pretty much anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I
That's
love it.
fantastic. I've
I'm-
learned so much.
I'm so glad.
This is
Me
great.
too.
And I'm so glad that we met through the WOW network. Is that not the best
Network.
group ever?
Aren't they wonderful? Yay,
Oh my
Polly and
God.
Izzy for
Yes.
founding the WOW network. Really extraordinary and such a good match for all the women I know, because we want to collaborate and lift up other women. And it's so important. If we're all bringing our passions and our skills to the table, a rising tide does lift all boats.
Mhm.
It does. And just the joyful, warm, inclusive way that they approach that, but also very strategic, very smart, brilliant women.
Yes.
It's pretty great.
Mm-hmm. And I have to say this too before we close out. Growing up, like the culture was, if I saw a female that I felt like she had more than me, or she looked better than me, or
Mhm.
whatever, it was to be jealous of her, right? And that is so prevalent with women. I think more so than men. But jealousy is the most misdirected emotion ever. learn from those people. Like if somebody has something you want or you feel envious, it's like, why do you feel that way? Well, they've got something that you want. Okay, well, if they can get it, you can get it.
There you go.
And it's like
There
the
you go.
WOA network, I don't sense any of that within that group at
I
all.
agree.
It's
I
very
agree.
supportive,
Mhm.
and it's advocacy, it's mentorship, it's sharing information, and everybody is there to just strengthen everybody's business.
Yeah.
So I love it.
Yeah, I agree. I
And
agree.
yeah,
It's a remarkable group.
I believe you are the second person from the WOA network that I've met in person.
Wonderful.
Mhm.
Wonderful. Well,
Yeah.
let's just keep that going.
Let's keep it
Because I
going.
know so many of those women personally. Most of the women I know personally, I knew before that. Some I've met since, but they all have one thing in common, is they are modeling how we want to conduct ourselves in the world.
Yeah.
They are modeling what we need to do for our community and our nation and our souls.
The Thought Snob Podcast with Paula Swope has been brought to you by Thought Snob Media in association with Special Purpose Studios. All production, mixing, and sound engineering by me, Will Swope. We hope you've enjoyed this podcast. Please take a few seconds to give us 5 stars and leave a review. See you on the next Thought Snob Podcast with Paula Swope.